Imagine a secret buried deep beneath the sun-scorched earth of the Ethiopian desert. And we're not talking about something hidden for hundreds of years or even thousands. We are talking about 3.2 million years. Long before the very first cities, way before the pyramids were even a thought, and long before the first written word, one extraordinary ancestor walked across the landscape of East Africa. And then, she just disappeared. For millions of years, the earth protected her story, keeping her completely hidden beneath layers of rock and sand. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking an incredible, truly cinematic journey back in time to uncover a discovery that literally shattered our understanding of human evolution. We're talking about a fossil the world knows as Lucy and that Ethiopia reveres as Dinkinesh.
So it's a pretty profound question, isn't it? What can a 3.2 million-year-old skeleton actually teach us about ourselves today? How did a few ancient, completely silent bones manage to answer some of the absolute biggest questions about humanity's origins? For decades, scientists had all these theories about how we evolved. But theories need proof, right? They need a physical link. Well, this single skeleton provided that exact window into our distant past, fundamentally reshaping our understanding of our own family tree. I want you to picture the Afar region of Ethiopia, but definitely not as the dry, arid landscape we see today. If we go back 3.2 million years, this was a vibrant, lush environment. We're talking flowing rivers and wide-open woodlands. Ancient elephants, crocodiles, hippos, they all shared this terrain. And right there, among them, lived a small, upright walking ancestor. Her life was, a daily struggle for sure. She spent her days foraging to support a massive, heavy, plant-based diet, all while constantly trying to avoid some truly massive predators. And for millions of years, nobody had a clue she ever existed. Her bones just rested silently, waiting for the earth to finally reveal her. Now, this ancient environment set the stage for one of the absolute greatest scientific detective stories of the 20th century. It started in November 1973, when paleoanthropologist Donald Johanson found a fossilized knee joint. And this joint clearly belonged to a creature that walked upright. But the real history-making moment, that happened on November 24, 1974 at the Hadar site in the Awash Valley. Johanson and Tom Gray were just heading back to their Land Rover when they spotted this tiny forearm bone in a dusty gully. And then they saw a skull bone, then a femur, then a pelvis. After 3 weeks of intense, incredibly careful excavation, they had managed to recover hundreds of bone fragments. 40%! That's how much they found. They recovered 40% of a single hominin skeleton. Now, to put that into perspective, in the world of paleoanthropology, finding just a single tooth or maybe a piece of a jawbone from millions of years ago is considered a massive win. So to find nearly half of an entire skeleton from a single individual, dating all the way back 3.2 million years, that was absolutely unprecedented. There was literally no way to overstate it. It was the oldest and most complete early human ancestor anyone had ever found at that time.
The expedition team obviously knew they had just found something completely historic. That evening back at their camp, the place was just buzzing with excitement. They were playing music loudly into the night, celebrating, and specifically they had the Beatles' hit song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds playing on repeat on this little tape recorder. Caught up in the sheer euphoria of the moment, somebody on the team suggested they just name the skeleton Lucy, and, the nickname instantly stuck, eventually making her a household name across the entire globe.
But while the Western world knows her as Lucy, she has another name, and it's one that really honors her incredible cultural and historical significance. Over in Ethiopia, her homeland, she is known as Dinkinesh. Translated from Amharic, that means "you are marvelous." What a beautiful, deeply respectful title for a fossil that gave the entire human race a tangible connection to our shared roots. It's a great reminder that this marvelous ancestor belongs not just to the scientific community, but to the rich, enduring heritage of Ethiopia. So who exactly was Dinkinesh? Well, she wasn't a modern human, but she wasn't an ape either. She actually belonged to an extinct species known as Australopithecus afarensis. This species lived in eastern Africa, so think modern-day Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania, between roughly 3.85 and 2.95 million years ago. And think about this for a second. Her species survived for over 900,000 years. That is roughly 3 times as long as our own species, Homo sapiens, has even existed. She truly represents this absolutely crucial bridge in our evolutionary family tree. Now, figuring out how she moved all comes down to comparative anatomy. If you look at the femurs, the thigh bones of a chimpanzee, they are relatively straight because they're adapted for moving on all fours. But Dinkinesh, her thigh bones actually angled inward from the hip toward the knee. Science calls this a valgus knee.
And when you combine that angled knee with her very human-like pelvic girdle, it gave us definitive, undeniable proof that she walked upright on two legs exactly like we do.
And here is where Dinkinesh completely flipped the script on everything science thought it knew. She had a cranial capacity of only about 375 to 500 cubic centimeters. That is very small, much closer to the brain size of a chimpanzee. For the longest time, scientists had just assumed that our ancestors grew large, complex brains first, and that big brain is what made them smart enough to invent upright walking. Dinkinesh proved the exact opposite. She proved that bipedalism, walking on two legs, evolved way before ancestors ever developed large brains. It was a total game changer, a massive paradigm shift in science.
Let's try to really visualize her. Get a vivid picture of her physical profile. Dinkinesh was incredibly tiny. She stood only about 1.1 meters. That's just 3.5 feet tall. And she weighed somewhere around 27 to 30 kilograms. She had this conical rib cage, kind of similar to a gorilla's, which gave her a larger stomach to process and digest that massive, heavy plant-based diet we talked about. And while her lower body was perfectly adapted for walking upright on the ground during the day, her arms were slightly longer in proportion. That tells us she still maintained the ability to climb up into the trees, which she probably did to sleep safely away from predators at night.
But that brings up a bit of a mystery. How did her story actually end? How did Dinkinesh die? It's something that has puzzled researchers for decades. When experts examined her bones, they didn't find any predator chew marks, so she wasn't killed and scavenged by some large carnivore. And we know she was a fully matured young adult. Interestingly enough, a 2016 study by researchers at the University of Texas proposed that she suffered perimortem fractures from a fatal fall out of a really tall tree. Now, some of her original discoverers disagree with this theory, but you have to admit it adds a fascinating, almost hauntingly humanizing layer to her final moments.
You know, Dinkinesh's resting place is just as crucial as her bones. Ethiopia is globally recognized today as the cradle of humankind. Its unique geology, specifically in the Rift Valley, is absolutely perfect for preserving ancient fossils and then slowly bringing them to the surface over millions of years. And Dinkinesh was really just the beginning. In 1992, researchers found Arti, an even older 4.4 million-year-old ancestor. Then in 2000, they found Salam, a 3.3 million-year-old skeleton of a toddler. Together, all these discoveries form this vivid, ongoing record of human evolution, putting Ethiopia right at center stage. If you're wondering where she is today, those original, absolutely priceless fossils of Dinkinesh are kept under highly controlled conditions at the National Museum of Ethiopia in Addis Ababa. They have to keep them safely tucked away to protect them from any damage. But while the originals are locked up, they have these incredibly accurate, lifelike casts on public display. So visitors and researchers from all over the world can actually come face to face with this marvelous ancestor, standing just feet away from the 3.2 million-year-old physical evidence of our own origins. And her legacy? It extends far beyond the walls of any museum. Actually, it literally extends into outer space, from the dirt to the stars. Back in 2013, NASA was looking for a name for a brand new mission to explore Jupiter's Trojan asteroids. Because these specific asteroids hold crucial clues to the origins of our solar system, just like Dinkinesh holds clues to human origins, NASA officially named the spacecraft Lucy. How wild is that? A tiny fossil discovered in the Ethiopian dust inspired a cutting-edge mission exploring ancient diamonds in the sky. Ultimately, Dinkinesh is far more than just a fossil. She's a time machine. She is our 3.2 million-year-old grandmother who undeniably proves our shared connected roots right there in Africa. So it leaves you wondering, if one small ancient skeleton could completely rewrite the story of where we came from, what other incredible stories is the Earth still hiding beneath our feet, just waiting to be discovered? Keep exploring, because every discovery tells a story.